80 of them would stand to actually qualify for their pension should the election be held later. Welcome back to Northern Perspective, everyone. I'm Cypher.
And I'm Fox. The NDP might be finally starting to get the hint that Canadians don't like them and that they are only out for their pensions. Why? Because they're talking about fighting the Liberals on election reform.
Let's take a look. So this is from an article that was published earlier from CTV News. NDP wants Liberals to scrap proposed election date change that could secure pensions for many MPs. What?
Interesting.
Federal New Democrats want to amend the Liberal government's electoral reform legislation to scrap the proposal to push back the vote by a week and consequently secure pensions for dozens of MPs, CTV News has learned. So, we actually dug into this bill earlier when it was announced, and we did cover this, but just in case that you didn't see that, let's take a quick look. So this is Bill C-65, an act to amend the Canada Elections Act. And there are many different, pieces in here announcing additional days to vote and that sort of thing. But one of the most controversial points of this bill was the change in the election date. What's that? That is under Section 5 of this bill. And it says, election dates. Subject to subsection 1, each general election must be held on the third Monday of October in the fourth calendar year, following polling day for the last general election. However, this is the amended part. If Monday, October 20th, 2025 would be the day fixed for voting at a general election under this subsection, which it is, that general election must be held on Monday, October 27th, 2025. Why is that relevant? Well, the election dates are chosen for a reason, and the pension anniversaries are also chosen for a reason. And that's to ensure that MPs have to get re-elected in order to secure their pension. So what the Liberals have done is they've actually looked to see when MPs are actually getting their pension, and they actually found that a bunch of them, and let's go back to the CTV article, 80 of them would stand to actually qualify for their pension should the election be held later. So this goes all the way back to the 2019 election. As it states, MPs need to serve for at least 6 years in order to qualify for a pension upon retirement, and for the 80 MPs who were first elected on October 21st, 2019, if they were to be defeated on October 20th, 2025, they just missed that 6-year mark and instead only qualify for a one-time severance allowance. Under the Canada Elections Act, federal votes must be held on the third Monday in October 4 years after the previous election. With this bill, the Liberals are seeking a one-time carve-out for that rule. So this is interesting. It's interesting because it seems like the NDP are trying to get away from this narrative that they only care about their pensions. Continuing further down the article, so NDP MP Lisa Marie Barron has said that scrapping the plan to push the election back by 1 week is to her party a necessary amendment, and she's not ready to say that without it, the New Democrats will pull their support of the legislation altogether. Quote, there's a lot of really important pieces to this bill, end quote, she said, but I can say with certainty that I will not be supporting members of Parliament who were not eligible for their pensions prior now being eligible. Meaning, she doesn't want to be backing MPs that are voting for this bill if they weren't going to be eligible prior to this. And this is just sliding in a loophole to qualify over 80 MPs for additional money.
Which in turn will cost the taxpayers
millions and millions of dollars, just to be clear. Just because they couldn't get elected and keep their government going. Not Canadians' problem, MPs.
Do a better job and you will get reelected.
Right. Now, Jagmeet's going to qualify for his pension in February of next year, and it seems that the rest of the NDP are going to help him do that, which is beyond me, because any of those NDP MPs that are looking to retain their seat, it looks like only about half of them are going to be able to do that. So, like, what? Is it worth it? I don't think it's worth it. Is it worth giving up your seat? Is it worth representing your constituents?
Is it worth selling your soul?
Right. Like, is it worth all of these Canadians in tent cities continuing to be punished by these policies? And of course, the pragmatic people will say, well, the NDP is relevant right now. They will not be relevant for another 10 years after this. Cypher, you've said that. Yes, I have. But it comes back to, listen, people say, well, all of these politicians are corrupt anyway. They're not all corrupt. I think it's easily to be corrupted in Ottawa, but not all of them are corrupt.
There are some really good politicians.
Yeah.
There really are.
We actually see some of them in the Bloc. We see some in the Conservatives, but we're seeing a lot of them in the Bloc that are really solid MPs. It's just a pity they're for the Bloc. But these MPs in the NDP, like, it's a pity, because there's a couple of them that seem like they could be really good. Taylor Backrack, number one. Rachel Blaney, who's leaving, she's had some bright spots. She's had some dark spots, but she's had some bright spots.
But I wonder if that's why she's leaving, because she's had enough of this.
Could be. Matthew Green, like, very intelligent guy, has had some solid questions. But then he turns and he supports all of this crap. Like, it's so frustrating when you're looking at some of these people, because there's some really competent people in the NDP, but they are just so against common sense. And they are so tied ideologically to just, I'm not going to say far left, because the Liberals are the furthest left of both parties, but they're still far left.
They're socialists is what they are.
Right. And they think the cause of everything is corporations. Give money back to the people. Go communism. Hooray. Jagmeet's still talking. When I'm Prime Minister. Yeah, right. When I'm Prime Minister. He's having enough challenges trying to keep up to second place in his riding. Never mind. Get his never mind win his seat back. So, I don't know. I don't really know what to make to make of this, because the NDP, they are just flip-flopping back and forth. Again, I don't know who is doing their strategy, but it is not consistent in any way. And the problem is when you're not consistent in the political arena, you're not giving your constituents a consistent message either.
I think they see that they're down in the polls because they've hitched their cart to the Liberals' horse, and they're trying to prove to taxpayers now that we do care about taxpayer dollars, that we don't just care about our pensions. We are trying to fight for you. We are trying to save you money. But the real question here is it too late?